What's going on, everyone? Dom from the Game Looters, and we have a metaphor, Refantasio. Atlas has swung for the fences and hit that home run once again. We are looking at a 94 on Metacritic today. That's with 31 critic reviews, and Metaphor Refantasio solidifying itself as one of the games of the year that the whole gaming community and industry need to take notice of. This is how you release another brand new IP with familiar feeling and etiquette and direction and everything else, and you just really hit for the fences. This is what you do when you're trying to hit a new IP and you're trying to say, come play our game. After about a dozen hours in the demo or the prologue, you can kind of play the beginning of the game if you jump into the demo today where your save transfers over. I put about a dozen hours into said prologue, said demo, just gained a feel for the game and everything. I'm gonna put the video up here right now, but I did my own review based on at least that limited amount of hours. And I was saying this game's a masterpiece. This game hits all the boxes that I wanted to hit and more. This game harkens the Persona and SMT things that I love the most about those series, and it brings them here into a brand new IP. It brings things from across the multitude of the Atlas library, like Catherine, and their Vanillaware counterparts like Unicorn Overlord more recently. Everything that Atlas does great has been put into this project and into this game, and they are getting rewarded for it with a 94 on Metacritic. So in today's video, guys, we're going to be looking at reviews. We're going to be going through at least one or two bottom, mid, and top rank reviews, and I'm going to give you some coloration, some opinions on said reviews, on my agreement or disagreement with what people are saying out there. So let's jump into Metacritic and let's just look at these reviews here today. All right. So as you guys see right now, I'll kind of play this little background video. As you guys see right now, the score is sitting at a 94 on Metacritic. So again, Metaphor Refantasio set out to just set more of the JRPG, RPG, genre ablaze. And even though Atlas has done it this year with Persona 3 Reload and Unicorn Overlord and just continues to just hit for the fences, they're here with another release this year. So this is going to be based on 31 critic reviews. So we're going to take a look at everything that we have here. We have several 100 scores. And then if we look all the way to the bottom, the lowest score we have right now is 85. So we'll take a look at a couple of the bottom scores. We'll take a look at some of the middle scores. And with this one, I guess the middle scores would be about a 90 to 95 is what would be the middle scores. And then we'll take a look real quick at a couple of the 100 scores from the more notable outlets that we have seen. We'll probably hit with something like GameStop. So let's go ahead and let's just start off with the bottom reviews. Let's get the negativity out of the way and let's see what people's true feelings are towards the game. Because remember, as we go through this too, no hate or anything on any of these people reviewing. Remember, if you are in the industry, if you're not a solo dolo creator, basically like you or maybe you and a buddy or you and a couple of friends have a YouTube channel or a website where you guys cover games to a high degree, which a lot of people do. I'm very jealous of them. Most sites have teams of people and they just simply get assigned a game, and they may not be into the genre and they might not be into the developer, or they might not even be into the game, but sometimes they have to do it because it's their job. Again, remember, job, not passion. So just remember going through that lens of some people had to play it. So first off, let's look at this first one here. This comes from multiplayer.it. I'm not familiar with them, but they put here the latest effort by Katsura Hashino and his Studio Zero is a great Japanese RPG with an identity problem. It is Persona set in a metaferential fantasy. Jesus Christ. The use of this really large ChatGPT word is unnecessary. Fantasy context with very clear references to the tried and tested dynamics of the Atlas series and its progenitor, Shin Megami Tensei. Despite a backward technical sector, but compensated by an excellent artistic direction, Metaphor Fantasio is a JRPG suspended in limbo between innovation and tradition that will immensely please all those who love this particular drift, even if it would have been more exciting to play something completely new. this doesn't sound like an 85 review. This sounds like this person absolutely hated it. It sounds like they're like, yo, this is dog shit. This is doo-doo. Like, that's what they're saying. And that's just wild to me. Also, this is just a word salad of just really large words to sound more intelligent. And I do not like when reviewers do that. Like, I myself try and, you know, use some kind of eloquent phrases here and there. But for the most part, I just try to use normal language. Metaphorential, right? Metaphorential is a very interesting word that is in here, and the rest is just kind of a word salad. But basically what they're saying is, to me, the best part of metaphor. You know, I said this in my review, but I'll say it here. If you are a big fan of a series, right? Let me just like use an example, right? Let's say you got into the Souls series due to Bloodborne, or let's just say Dark Souls, right? Let's just say you got in to the Souls series with like Dark Souls. Just pick one, 2, 3, whatever. And you're like, man, I love this series so much. I wish they would branch out. And that is when you suddenly get Bloodborne, or you get Sekirei, or whatever you call it, Sekirei, something like that. You know, and you get these other games that are either from the same studio or take heavy inspiration from Dark Souls. And I think that you love it for that, because it's exactly like this other thing that is just that they nailed it. They just have a different setting, different story, different elements, right? So the thing that they find the most negative is, to me, Persona is my favorite game of all time, so I'm extremely biased, okay? But to me, Persona 5 is the greatest JRPG ever created. And I know some people who like Final Fantasy might be like, that's blasphemous. But for me, it's like, okay, I love this thing so much. I would love for them to take everything that makes Persona, or everything that makes Shin Megami Tensei, and start a new IP and take those elements and those things and that familiarity from there to somewhere else, and then make a new game with new protagonists and and that's exactly what they did here. It's just everything that you love from Persona and Shin Megami Tensei is here, but it has a brand new coat of paint, like brand new story and everything. So I don't quite understand how that's a negative to me. But again, I don't want to doo-doo on them. This is their opinion, and they don't like the fact that it's like Persona and Shin Megami Tensei. That's like if Game Freak made another monster-catching game. Of course, it would be like Pokemon, but that's the point. Okay, this is from Tierra Gamer. They put here, metaphor ReFantazio differs from the unique proposition that Atlas promised to develop for the West over 8 years ago. Let's reread that sentence, okay? Stay with me here. Stay with me. Metaphor ReFantazio differs from the unique proposition that Atlas promised to develop for the West over 8 years ago. I don't think that's true, but okay. Its structure clearly reflects Persona 5. Persona. And based on that foundation, the team has refined and built one of the most entertaining games of the year. While Atlas has demonstrated its mastery in many areas, such as the ability to create fascinating worlds and unmatched aesthetic, it can offer much more in gameplay. So I think what they're saying is, maybe they had imagined that Atlas, the creators of a 30-year property in Shin Megami Tensei, or a 25+ year, actually even more, almost like 30-year property in Persona, that they would come and create something that is a Western, that they would come and create Skyrim. I think that's what they were expecting, that they would come in and create a Western RPG, which is silly. Which I don't know where people got this idea from. Like, this was a project, a really big hailed project for a really long time. And in no way, shape, or form did I think the creators of this 30-year-old franchise that has had spin-offs that all feel similar, because that's the point, would come and create a Western RPG. Like, where did people get that idea? Okay. Let's read some. Okay, Games Radar. I think everybody, if you're on YouTube, I think that you are familiar with Games Radar. I see them pop up all the time. Okay, so they put here, the pros are stunning art direction, fantastic balance of exploration and social elements, and a gripping story. I agree with all those. Cons, slow-paced opening, safe returning Persona SMT and Persona features, repetitive dungeon layouts. I'll give them a nod on that last one. I can imagine, when when you're putting 70 or 80 hours into a game, dungeons can tend to feel kind of the same. So I can get that. Slow paced opening. I mean, if you played the prologue or demo, you can decide for yourself on how you feel about that. I think it was craftily integrating you into a new game. If you've never played any of the Atlas games before, I think it was teaching you slowly all the different systems, because you're going to have this massive experience. But let's acknowledge the fact that that can be a turnoff to people, because if it is slow, and I think it's slow and interesting, but if it skews to slow and boring, I can understand how it'll lose people in the first 10 hours. Their main thing here was Metaphor ReFantazio is a triumphant evolution of Atlas's best and offers a gripping new story supplemented by a lovable cast. Dungeons begging to be explored and a gorgeous art direction that makes you feel like wandering the pages of a fairy tale book, although it takes a while to reach its greatest heights. Again, I felt like I reached some really great heights just in those dozen hours I put in so far, which will be continuing here very shortly. So I don't know if I agree with that, but I do really like what they said here, dungeons begging to be explored, but then they have a con as repetitive dungeon layouts. So kind of an oxymoron there, but hey, we'll give it to them that, hey, it looks like they like the game. It's 9 out of 10. 9 out of 10 is an excellent rating. Let's go through one more. Let's go through a 90. I wish I knew some of these people. Let's go to a Brazil, all right? PSX Brazil. Let's go across the ocean here. Let's go to PSX Brazil. They put here, Metaphor ReFantazio is an excellent JRPG with exceptional storytelling, combat, and setting, enhanced by one of the most exquisite graphical styles and soundtracks ever seen. Excellent in every detail, it is further proof when at its best, Atlas is incomparable. So yeah, I agree. I think that the soundtrack here is unlike any other Atlas product they put out, and is just really amazing. So those are going to take the two mid ones here. I think overall they're 9s, and they're 9 and 9.5s. They're still extremely glowing. They're still extremely positive overall. And there's a lot of love here for Atlas's new product. All right, let's look at the top contenders here. Let's look at GameSpot. GameSpot put here, somehow Metaphor ReFantazio is even greater than the sum of its parts, yet each piece of the game is masterly crafted. I found the whole experience transcendent. Wow, I can't talk their big words. I found the whole experience transcendent and was impressed by how it felt both novel yet familiar, elevated and modern. Yet so many reminiscent to the fantasy RPGs I sunk countless hours into my little gray PlayStation. But most importantly, it made me remember that we are lost without hope. It sounds silly and cliche, I know sometimes it can be. It also certainly doesn't put out the fire set all over the world, but it reminded me that giving into despair and fear serves no one. Myself included, it reminded me that fantasy and fiction have power, words, and stories have power. They can inspire and comfort, and these things that are vital to preserving it, and reminding me that the proof of good in the world can be us, and that's good. That's a good start. So it looks like the thing that I take away from this is less nitty gritty about the game itself, and more about the experience that this person had while playing it. And this is written by Jessica Coswell, so give her some love over at GameSpot. I actually really love this review quite a bit, because she's basically saying, like, the game's beyond amazing, and it inspired her to have a higher level of thinking of, like, okay, this is totally a fictional story, but some of these main plot points and some of these things that they're dealing with within this fictional world are very real to all of us in the world, right? Like, you can't give in to despair. You have to have hope. There is power in words. You can make a difference. If you will it, it can happen. And I think that's such a really, really cool take. And I'm gonna do my very best to not mimic any of that when I put out my final review later on. But I really love that, and I totally get it, how it can really, really affect you. When I'm usually doing reviews, I always take the stand of, did the game satiate my taste buds? Did it make me want to come back and more? Like, did it want me to come back for seconds and thirds and fourths? And that's always the kind of take I go that route I go when I'm reviewing a game, is like, if I was away from the game and I'm at the park, I am waiting in a line to get my kids. If I'm at work, was I thinking about like, man, I can't wait to get back to the game to go and do a quest, to go and meet somebody, to go and get my confidant level up, to go and get my intelligence, my wisdom level up? Was I thinking about it in that sense? And if the answer is no, then the score that I would give it begins to kind of dwindle. It's like, okay, well, if I don't feel that way, what are the whys? And then that kind of fills in my negative bracket. So I love that. Let's give love to our friends over at Noisy Pixel. Go support them on YouTube. They're an awesome team of people. I don't know them personally, but I do like their content when I have been able to check them out. They put here, in just about every way, Metaphor ReFantazio checks all the boxes for a masterful fantasy epic. Between the addictive gameplay design and endless strategic combat and gripping narrative propelled by a compelling cast, this is an undeniable must-play that guaranteed to be Atlus's next big hit. So they're basically saying, Atlus got a new hit here. They have a new franchise. They're with it, baby. So yeah, go show them some love, Noisy Pixel. They gave this a 100. I completely agree with all of that. So that's going to do it for our reviews right here on the channel, my friends. Let me know, what did you guys think about all these different viewpoints and reviews for the game? Let me know what you guys think about all of that in the comments down below. But based on everything that we saw here, I am in complete agreement. I think Atlus hit this one out of the park. The voice actors are amazing. The soundtrack is just so unique and incredible. The world that they created is awesome. The different confidants, the different social elements that you're able to have here. If you love the social elements of Persona or Shin Megami Tensei, then you're gonna feel right at home here. If you're familiar with those two gameplay loops and the way that you're conducting the gameplay, addictive gameplay, mind you, then you're gonna be in for it right here. If you love the art style, if you love a protagonist that speaks, if you love a gripping story in a fantastical world about revenge and conquest and potentially being the king and everything else, and just seeing everything come through. If you love Shoji Meguro, right? He did the soundtrack here, and it's like, it just, everything is just next level and awesome. So I'm right there with them. Like I said from the beginning, I'm extremely biased because this is one of my favorite franchises ever, create a brand new franchise, and I think that they nailed it, and they did just that here. I can't wait to jump back into this game, as soon as it releases. More video content here on the channel. Thank you guys for sticking with me here as we went through a bunch of the brand new reviews that just came out today, as Metaphor ReFantazio is at a 94 on Metacritic. Put all your thoughts, negative, positive, and everything down below, and I can't wait to see you guys for more Metaphor ReFantazio content right here on the channel. Subscribe, hit it with your boy, hit that like, and I'll see you in the next one. Peace.